Kip, why don't you tell us a little bit about conscious capitalism? We obviously have an educated group here, but it's tied so directly to your founding principles and the way that you all operate your business and your culture.
What we're trying to do at the Container Store is create a business, and it's right on the cover of the book, how uncontainable, how passion, commitment, and conscious capitalism built a business where everyone thrives. I mean, you spend more time working than any waking endeavor. So what an honorable, great thing to do to try to create a business where everybody thrives. The employees thrive, the vendors thrive, the customers thrive, the communities thrive. I think that's a great summation of our foundation principles and conscious capitalism, which are one and the same. Our company was founded on 7 sort of yummy, simple, almost corny, golden rule-ish type foundation principles, like Andrew Carnegie's statement on his deathbed, which is he attributed all of his incredible business success to this one beacon, this one guiding light that actually guided all of his business actions, which is fill the guy's basket to the brim. Making money then becomes an easy proposition. You know, exactly the opposite of what you grow up learning about business being a zero-sum game and someone has to lose in order for somebody else to win, all of which is completely false. I mean, conscious capitalism and the Container Store's foundation principles are really identical, and so we can talk about the tenets of conscious capitalism. There's 4 of them. One of them is a higher purpose. I don't know any entrepreneur that started a business because they wanted to make a lot of money. I mean, a doctor didn't become a doctor because he thought it was a great way to make a lot of money, right? I don't know why people think that business people or capitalists are doing it for that purpose, but a higher purpose other than just making money. Conscious capitalist companies are increasingly more successful than other companies that are not. Raj Sisodia, who's on the Container Store's board of directors and co-wrote the book with John Mackey, Conscious Capitalism, has made a study in his book, Firms of Endearment, which shows that the companies that we think of as being great examples of conscious capitalism, who have been public companies for a long time, Costco, Whole Foods, Google, those types of companies outperform the S&P index 14 to 1 and for a very long time, over 15 years. So that's not 20 or 40% better, it's 1,400% better. This is not only the best way to enrich your life and the lives of the people you do business with, it actually works better than any other form of capitalism. So higher purpose, conscious leadership. A company has to have its top leadership really devoted and committed to conscious capitalism or it will not work. I think CEOs are kind of overrated. You read too much about them, you hear too much about them. They're just one person in an organization. But that top person, if you're going to do the conscious capitalism thing, that top person has to be really committed to it. And the stakeholder model, which is so interesting and something I particularly love. Stakeholder model, Milton Friedman, the famous economist, once said that the only reason a corporation exists is to maximize the return of the shareholder. And at the Container Store, we're like, Milton, I know you won a Nobel Prize and everything, but what we do at the Container Store is that we actually put the employee first. And if you take better care of her, if you really and truly take better care of her than anybody else, she really and truly will take better care of the customer than anybody else. And if those 2 people are ecstatic, your shareholder's going to be ecstatic too. But if you just myopically focus on the shareholder, like business schools for decades have taught MBA graduates to do, the magic's lost. Chances are the employee won't be happy and the customer won't be happy and the shareholder won't be happy either. So that stakeholder model enhances and maximizes the benefit of the employee, the vendor, the community, the shareholder, all of the stakeholders. And that's when you get synergy. That's when you get a long-lasting relationship. Hopefully a human relationship where one party's taking advantage of another party, generally they don't last very long. But these synergistic relationships where everything is in balance, we do put the employee first, but that's actually the most efficient way to elevate, say, the shareholder. That's the best way to be able to have a thriving business that really is engaged in and gives back to the community. You know, that's the way to have a business where employees look forward to getting out of bed in the morning and coming to work and working with other great people and doing great things. And the fourth one is a conscious culture. You should be able to feel it when you walk in the store, you know. I mean, hopefully you walk into the Container Store and the employees are thrilled and happy and engaged, and they've all been working there for 4 and 8 and 12 years. You know, we have single-digit turnover in an industry that averages triple-digit, you know, turnover. And so that's a little bit about conscious capitalism. John Mackey wrote a book that thick on it.
Yes.
We talked about it all morning.
One of the things I found so interesting when I first started working with you all and got to know the culture a little bit, I kept thinking, I don't know what these people are drinking, but I want some of it.
I'll have what she's having?
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, I think it's really interesting that this is a business book that actually talks about love. There's quite a bit about it in the book. So tell us a little bit about that philosophy and your concept of one great person equaling 3 good people.
Well, Herb Kelleher, the fabulous founder of Southwest Airlines, told me, I think 30 or 35 years ago, that you can build a much better business organization on love than you can fear. And I was like, what? Who is this guy? You can build a better organization on love than fear? And John Mackey and I really love to bring the word love into all conversations about business and culture. What happened was guys came back from World War II, and they started businesses, and they kind of organized those businesses and ran those businesses in accordance to what they learned in the military. And that may be a good way to run a military, but it's a terrible way to run a business. And here, years later, finally people are understanding that that top-down command structure is an unproductive way to run a business. In fact, leadership needs to be much more like servant leadership, like conscious capitalism leadership. There needs to be great communication, great transparency, nurturing, love, yes. Create a safe environment where people are unafraid to make mistakes, so they'll stretch more. When I go snow skiing, I don't fall for days at a time because I'm too afraid to fall, so I'm not really skiing. You know, I'm not doing as much as I could or should. If we provide a work environment where people will really stretch, and you know, you get much better productivity, much better creativity. So, one great person equals 3 good people. That's an understatement. You're 45 times as good at a lot of things as I am, and vice versa. It's a simple little statement, 1 equals 3. We believe in only hiring great people. We'll interview you to death, have you talk to 8 people. Some people leave before the interview process because it's so exhaustive, but we just think the most important thing in the world is who we hire to help us achieve what we're trying to achieve, and talent is the whole ball game. And one great person in business productivity can easily do the business productivity of one good one. And people want to work with great people. Do you want to go work at a place where there's a bunch of mediocrity and people are not engaged? And you want to work with fabulous people that you're so excited to get to work with. That girl in the 5th grade that liked you, and you couldn't believe she liked you because she was the coolest girl in the whole school and she liked you. I mean, you just couldn't believe it. I mean, it makes you want to come to school in the morning. You know, I mean, that's who you want to work with, these people you just love and admire. And so 1 great's equal to 3 good. You can pay them better. We pay 50 to 100% above industry average. And I'm not an advocate of paying mediocre people well, but I'm a huge advocate of paying great people well. And so the business wins because it's getting 3 times the productivity at only 50 to 100% more payroll. The employee wins because she's getting paid, say, 50% more than somebody else might pay her. And the customer wins because the customer is getting this great 1 equals 3, you know, person, you know, to work with. So I just can't emphasize how important hiring great people are. They're harder to find. They're harder to keep. We train, a first-year average employee at the Container Store gets 280 hours of formal training. The industry average is 8. great people want to be trained. There's nothing worse than working on a retail sales floor when you don't know what you're talking about or what you're doing. I mean, it's torture, you know, and it's great when you know, when you do. We don't have a human resources department. Our head of recruiting actually understands that her job is not to go find all these 1 = 3 great people. Her job is to get the rest of us to recruit to bring great people that we know. And you know what? We go home every night telling our friends and family how we love our jobs. We just love they get tired of hearing it. And so eventually, if they hate their jobs enough, they come to work for us. And my wife Sharon, who was introduced, our chief merchant, we're married, so we can't have any rules about that. It's just mayhem. There's people dating, people getting married. It's just crazy, but that's okay. And so you can bring in your spouse or your mother, or people know which of their cousins are great and which ones aren't, you know. And so they bring us their great ones, and that's how you find great people. But you also have to realize that you can get great people to work in a hot distribution center in Dallas, where it's over 100 degrees in the summertime, or in a retail sales floor, which some people don't find to be the most glamorous job in the world. At the Container Store, we think it's one of the most creative jobs you can find, and we have people with master's degrees that have been there for 10 years, and so you have to be dedicated to filling the workplace with great people. It helps that we've been on Fortune magazine's 100 Best Companies to Work For in America list for 15 years. We were #1 twice, we were #2 twice. So we're opening Salt Lake City this Saturday, and Fortune magazine's running around telling everybody we're the best company to work for in America. You get the best 1 = 3 people in Salt Lake applying for the job.
Absolutely.
And I was reading the bios on our new staff in Salt Lake City. You have ballerinas, you have teachers, you have it's just incredible the quality of the people we get, and that's great for the customer, but it might be even better for the coworker that gets to work with them.
Absolutely. So, you know, you bring these great people together, and, you know, that creates this energy, this vibe. When you walk into a Container Store, you just, you know, pick it up immediately. But that also extends to all of your vendor partners that you work with. And
I don't know about that.
Filling the other guy's basket, filling the other guy's basket to the brim, and the concept of once you do that, then making money becomes fairly easy. So talk about how that greatness, that love, and that honesty in your business relationships with your vendors gives you a unique position in the marketplace because of what you're able to do.
It's so thrilling. I mean, what's better than that? I mean, rather than trying to beat down your vendor, to do the exact opposite and create a win-win synergy. I think well, you can't tell the difference between an employee and a vendor at the Container Store. We deal with them the exact same way. One of the ways that the still not so big Container Store can compete against the giant mass merchants is we may not be able to beat them in volume, sales volume, but we can beat them in relationship building with the same vendor. You know, I mean, in fact, we can really excel at that. So somebody gets the best price from that manufacturer in the country, and it's very often the Container Store. Somebody gets the last pallet of goods of a really hot item at Christmas time when everybody's trying to get it, and it's usually the Container Store. We really take seriously this relationship building with the manufacturers that we deal with, and we get better service, we get better pricing, we get better everything. They love us. We love them. We're their favorite customer. We get the lowest price in the country very, very often, and these relationships are built over decades, and so we also get, so importantly, differentiated product that nobody else has, because Sharon and her wonderful team of buyers will create these fabulous exclusive products to the Container Store. They know that we have our finger closer to the pulse of our customer than the manufacturer does, so they're anxious to produce and create the product that we design together. If it's wood, we do it in Estonia. If it's high labor costs, we'll do it in Vietnam or somewhere. And all over the world with these long-term relationship manufacturers, you create this fabulous product that doesn't exist anywhere except at the Container Store. We have the type of margins we need to provide a really high service environment on that product without having to worry about somebody else trying to undercut us on the price. it's thrilling. And you know what? You become great friends, as we've become great friends. You know, you travel the world together, you create product together, and then you watch the product just fly off the shelves. There's nothing more wonderful. And so creatively crafting a mutually beneficial relationship with the people you do business with is the key to both success and fulfillment in business. And boy, this is a really joyful thing. It also differentiates us. There's no reason for us to exist unless we are selling, if we're doing the same thing everybody else is. So it fills my sense, my need for creative merchant, and Sharon's need for creative merchant energy too. We're so proud of these. We get really excited about the perfect shoebox, you know, the perfect sweater box. I mean, you know, our friends think we're nuts, but it took us a decade to finally fulfill that because the molds were so expensive. And I mean, we sell more sweater boxes and shoe boxes than anybody, and they're practically indestructible. They fit in alpha drawers. They're really transparent. They stack beautifully, and it's a lot of fun.
So your ability to provide not just product but solutions to the customer is tied to your one of your founding principles, the man in the desert selling. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's hard to get retail salespeople to sell because what they really want to do is get through life without ever being accused of being a pushy salesperson. Nobody wants to be accused of being a pushy salesperson. And of course, that means that a lot of people sort of wimp out and don't really give the customer what she wants, needs, and deserves. And she's undersold. You know, she's not going to be dancing in that closet because the closet is not danceable. Yeah, and but boy, when you get it, you get the opposite reaction. So we talk a lot about that. Man in the Desert's a crazy story I made up where a guy lives on an oasis in a desert, and he sees a man walking across the desert that's been stranded in the desert for days, and gives him a glass of water. He pats himself on the back and says he's handled this situation here very well. And man in the desert wanders off saying thanks for the glass of water. The guy's patting himself on the back, but he really hasn't done enough for that man in the desert. He needs to invite him into the oasis, you know, give him some aloe vera, and call home and tell his family that he's okay, and you know, he needs some Gatorade, needs some electrolytes, not just the water, and you know, maybe a little food. And after a while, you're having margaritas and Mexican food in the swimming pool. You know, I mean, you're really intuiting the man in the desert's needs. That does put sort of the moral imperative on helping the customer in the true sense of the word, rather than wimping out and hurting the customer and hurting the store by selling insufficiently. Customer service and selling are the same thing. Selling's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. We're not teaching anybody to sell things that are not right. Help them in the true sense of the word. Now, if you don't help them in the true sense of the word, you're doing the opposite of that. That's bad. That's not good. Happiest customers are the ones that have been through that. They tend to have the most items. We never teach anybody to sell up. Just help her in the true sense of the word. She's a teacher. She doesn't want the more expensive option. She wants the less expensive option. You know, whatever the issue is. And she's so happy. And if you can measure their heart when they're leaving the store, their heart's racing as opposed to just, And that's air of excitement. That's retail. That's helping the customer in the true sense of the word. And it's great for the company as well. You know, so you can help or hurt. You can wimp out and hurt customer and store, or you can help by doing the man in the desert selling.
Excellent. And I think that's why your customers keep coming back over and over again, because they feel that, and that air of excitement when they come into the store. And a lot of that is based on intuition. And you have a feeling about intuition in terms of it's not intuition out of thin air. It's intuition that comes from knowledge. And how do you help impart that to everybody who's part of the Container Store family?
Well, intuition is a sum total of your life experience, so please don't leave it at home when you come to work. But a lot of people are too afraid of using intuition at work. They only want to use logic. Men think that intuition is something that women do, you know. And sum total of your life experience, it's what makes you so much more productive and innovative. but it's a little more dangerous than logic. You're more prone to make a mistake following your intuition than you are just following pure logic. So we have to create an environment where you feel safe to make a mistake. You're hugged rather than yelled at or fired. We learn from mistakes. The only way we're going to leverage the training investment we make with our employees is for them to use their intuition, and then they're that much more productive. And the foundation principle for us is intuition doesn't come to an unprepared mind. You have to train to make it happen. So your intuition is a better tool on those topics that you know the most about. And your intuition on something you know nothing about. I know nothing about soccer, so my intuition on soccer would be worthless. But I do like to fly fish, and if I'm teaching him to fly fish, and I intuit a trout's under that rock, there probably is. If he intuits a trout's under that log, there probably is not. And but I tell you, we're all so much more productive when we use our intuition. And my old partner Garrett Boone and I were giving a speech in Atlanta one time, and we were talking about intuition and talking about the fact that no one ever disagrees with these foundation principles. I mean, how many of you disagree with that do unto others thing? Think that's a bad idea? But she said, well, I disagree with the intuition thing. I don't want my employees using their intuition. And I said, nobody's ever disagreed with that. Why is that? And she said, well, we manage nuclear power plants, and I would rather they just kind of stick to the like, okay, there's good.
Maybe one exception.
So
the air of excitement in the store and in amongst your culture is palpable, and you're going forward with that. You have plans for the future. Tell us about that. What's next for the Container Store in terms of your goals and aspirations and taking it to the next level? You've recently, in the last couple of years, had some changes which have been good for the company. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, air of excitement, I mean, retail needs to be theater. You certainly need to have air of excitement to give people a reason to want to come into your bricks and mortar store. We do great on online sales as well, although it's very hard to sell solutions online. Most retailers won't even try. We're really working on that. It's still better to sell solutions in a bricks and mortar environment with a salesperson and a customer than it is online, and that's good because it insulates us from giant online retailers, right? But we do it both ways. It needs to be fun in the store. It needs to be exciting, and it is when you get this creative process that takes place between the customer and the employee that we talked about. Places have an air of excitement or they don't. Restaurants, bars, it's a place where everybody wants to be there. The employees want to be there. The customers want to be there. Zabar's on Broadway in New York is a great example at lunchtime. Danny Meyer, the New York restaurateur, who's on our board of directors, great restaurants in New York have air of excitement. You feel it, you sense it. It's a place that you want to be at. And we're constantly innovating, adding to what we offer. You
have some new initiatives?
New initiatives like a POP program, which is really a customer frequency program. After 36 years, we're finally adding one of those. But we always felt like retailers just give away too much gross margin on their frequency program. This program is more about surprise and delight, communication, hugs. What our customers told us is they like discounts, but what they really want is more communication, more love, more, So when I think about, I'm kind of a foodie, and when I think about my favorite restaurants, I don't really want a discount particularly from my favorite brands. I want a discount from my less favorite brands, the companies I don't care about. I just want a discount from them. But I want information and hugs and love from my favorite restaurants. I want to talk to the chef about what kind of basil he used in that pesto sauce. I want those types of surprise and delights things. And that's better for the customer and better for the retailer. So we've just rolled this program out nationwide. We now have 1 million pop stars. When you enroll in the pop program, you become a pop star, and half of our sales are now from the pop program. And we feel like that will add even more traffic to our stores. Finally, a loyalty program, Contain Home, where people have been asking for this for 20 years. I think it's our most requested service. We will come to your home now and design and install any closet, pantry, toy storage, whatever you want. We'll do the whole house. I've had so many people for so many years saying, Kip, I would put Alpha in every closet in my home if you just come do it for me. And I don't know why it took us so long to do it. We're like, okay, we're going to do this. And we have these wonderful professional organizers, you know, good housekeeping seal of approval, Container Store people coming out and doing that. And it's just delightful. There's a core customer of ours that will, I think, really go crazy with that program. And then Alpha, you know, the wire drawer, most of it's wood too, but that product is 24% of our sales. It's incredible. I mean, it's the best product I've ever seen. And we love the Alpha product so much that in 1999 we bought the company. And now we own a Swedish manufacturing company. I'm like, what? How did we wind up owning a Swedish manufacturing? And we do a lot of production in Poland where the labor cost is 1/7 Sweden. Sweden's the highest in the world. But this great product, it's the best closet system there is, but some people prefer less of an open look. They want more of a built-in, solid, wooden, melamine style closet look. And for years we're like, no, buy Alpha, it's the best. We own the factory, so buy Alpha, you know. But there's a certain person that wants this other, more built-in wooden look, and we've worked to create the best of that genre of product too, and we're going to call that TCS closets. And it's a little bit higher end than the Alpha. It's a little bit more expensive product. Some people want that, particularly for their master bedroom closets. And there's a customer type that's very, very excited about this. We want to dominate the closet business in the United States. I think the closet will be as big a deal. People, in the 70s and 80s, when people were all redoing their kitchens and bathrooms, I think closets the next 20 years, every room in your house should have a beautiful closet with TCS closets or Alpha.
Is that your one word for the future? Closets.
Yeah, yes.
When all of you